our next money and banking topic is a current affair topic, which is very important for you. See, in 2017 prelims, if you see that, okay, there was a question like Prohibition of Benami Transaction Act. Okay, what are the major objectives of that act? Like that pattern of questions is coming. Okay, so any important amendment related with banking or public finance or anything which impacts the economy, UPSC have a tendency to ask a question on that particular year. Now, if you look into the 2017, this Banking Regulation Amendment Act 2017 is one of the most important act or amendment made in relation to economy. So, because of that, you need to know what are the major features of this amendment, okay, and after this amendment, what changes have happened or what impact have happened to the economy. Now, try to understand that there is a very important act, what is called as Banking Regulation Act 1949. Now, from the term itself, you will understand that, okay, this act have empowered the RBI or have made the RBI the regulator of the banking system in India, and all the regulatory provisions is mentioned in this Banking Regulation Amendment, Banking Regulation Act 1949. But in the last few years, we have seen a major problem affecting banking sector, that is high non-performing assets, which affects the bank, mainly the public sector banks. So, because of this high non-performing assets affecting the bank, it is not only affecting the bank, it is also impacting the credit growth as well as the economic growth. So, the government have decided to empower the RBI to deal with these high non-performing assets. So, that is the background of this amendment. So, in order to empower, see, in the earlier regulation, Banking Regulation Act, this specific power have not been given to RBI. RBI have not been given the power to issue directions to banks to deal with this high non-performing assets. But once the government have seen that this non-performing assets is going uncontrolled, the government decided to come empower the RBI with this amendment. Okay, so after watching this video, okay, please revise your non-performing assets concepts which we have covered in our speed economy, plus this insolvency and bankruptcy code. Okay, so surely you will get a question on insolvency and bankruptcy code and from non-performing assets. So be thorough with it and be good in it. Okay, so because there is a lot of interlinkage between that topic and this Banking Regulation Amendment Act. So you know the background. Okay, so what the government have done in May 2017, see the time period. Okay, in May 2017, the central government have come up with an ordinance. So initially, the government have come with an ordinance, that is Banking Regulation Amendment Ordinance 2017, which have amended this Banking Regulation Act. But you know the validity of ordinance. So to replace the ordinance, the government have come with this amendment bill, and later it was passed in both the House of Parliament and got the assent of the President, and it has become Banking Regulation Amendment Act 2017. Now, what is the aim of this amendment is, it will amend the Banking Regulation Act 1949 to insert certain provisions to that act for handling cases related to stressed assets. Okay, so this amendment is to handle cases related with stressed asset. So just have an idea what is this stressed asset. Means its concept is very important. Okay, so stressed assets are basically bank loan accounts. Okay, you know the assets of a bank, they are mainly loan. So when a loan will become stressed, if a borrower or a customer to a bank default in payment, if a customer of a bank default in repayment, or if there is any restructuring have been done to any particular loan account, okay, we call that particular asset of a bank as stressed assets. So it is explaining that they are loans where the borrower has defaulted or where the loan has been restructured. For example, restructuring the repayment schedule, etc. are restructuring. Okay, so to specifically deal with stressed asset only, this amendment have done, and what this amendment have done, it has inserted new provisions in the Banking Regulation Act 1949. So that amendment is done in 2017. Okay, and obviously this act will replace the ordinance which the government have passed in May 2017. Now, what are the major features? What are the major features of this amendment? Okay, first is that the act have given, means regarding the how to initiate, okay, or regarding insolvency proceedings. Okay, normally, see, that's why I told you please revise Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016, very important for you. Okay, so you know that under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, there is a method of insolvency proceedings. Okay, who can initiate insolvency proceedings? Okay, either the creditor, it can be financial creditor or operational creditor, or it can be the debtor itself who is not in a position to pay the loan. Okay, so we know how this insolvency proceedings happens under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. But here what this amendment have done is, here the central government have given the power, have authorized the Reserve Bank of India to initiate insolvency proceedings if it find certain accounts, especially account with this which is larger in size, okay, to initiate insolvency proceedings. So this power was not there with RBI. Now with this amendment, the central government have authorized the Reserve Bank of India, so that the Reserve Bank of India will issue directions to banks for initiating proceedings in case of a default in loan repayment. Okay, so if there is a default in loan repayment, and if that loan is to a, means it's having a huge, means if it is a high, means loan of high amount, okay, then RBI can, now under this amendment, RBI now have the power to give directions to the bank to initiate actions against these particular defaulters. Now these insolvency proceedings, the act itself says that the insolvency proceedings should be under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. So the amendment clearly says that RBI have the power to initiate insolvency proceedings, but this insolvency proceedings should be under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. That's why I told you to revise it. We have covered it in underspeed economic, which is very important. Surely you will get a question this year from Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code. Revise it. Now this is one thing about this amendment act, that is, it will initiate, means RBI have been given power to initiate insolvency proceedings. Who have given that power? Central government. Now regarding issuing directions, okay, second important point or second feature of this amendment is that now from time RBI at regular interval can issue directions to bank on stressed assets. We know what is a stressed asset. Okay, so RBI have been given power to give directions to bank for resolution of, so for resolving stressed assets, now RBI have the power to give directions to bank regarding stressed assets. So this is the second feature, okay, issuing directions. RBI will issue directions to banks on to deal with stressed assets. Now third feature is, this amendment says that there will be a committee to advise banks. So banks which are having high NPA loans or a high NPA account, high non-performing assets, will have to set up a committee. Okay, so this committee, so what the committee will do, it will advise bank how to resolve these stressed assets. Okay, so the RBI may specify an authority or a committee to advise bank on resolution of stressed assets. So this is another feature. A committee or authority will be there which will be mentioned, means who will specify that? It will be specified by RBI. Now regarding the members on such committees, the members of this committee to advise bank will be appointed or approved by RBI. Another important feature. So there will be a committee to advise bank in relation to resolution of stressed asset. This committee members will either be appointed or approved by RBI. So these words are very important, okay. UPSC can trick you by changing, instead of RBI they will give central government. So there you are trapped. So be very careful regarding it because it's very important. The last feature is, it says that this amendment is applicable even to State Bank of India. Okay, State Bank of India being the largest public sector bank and have some special features compared to other commercial banks. Okay, so the bill or the it's not this act. So this amendment act have inserted a provision to state that this amendment is applicable to State Bank of India as well as to regional rural banks also. So these are the major features of this Banking Regulation Amendment Act 2017. Okay, so these are the major features. Now if you see it, okay, there are a few important points. So what has happened after the government have empowered the RBI to deal with resolution of stressed assets? So you know that in May 2017 only the government have come up with this ordinance, but later it has become an act. So after the May 2017 ordinance, which has empowered the RBI to issue directions to banks to initiate insolvency proceedings, what happened is RBI in June had identified 12 large default accounts. So initially in June 2017, RBI have identified 12 accounts, means 12 loan accounts which are having more than, means outstanding loans of 5,000 crore and above. So now the RBI have been empowered to initiate insolvency proceedings. So what RBI have done? Initially have identified 12 NPA accounts which is having a outstanding loan of 5,000 crore and above. And this 12 accounts, this is again a very important fact, this 12 account constitute 25% of total non-performing assets of the country. So just 12 companies constitute 1/4 of the total NPA. So already there have been many articles. Okay, UPSC can ask this also. Okay, which are the 12 NPA accounts which have been, or which are the 12 companies which have been initially identified by RBI. Okay, the economic survey also have mentioned that 12 companies. So that these 12 companies, I already send you which are the 12 companies long back. Okay, so please refer it. Okay, which are the 12 companies? Okay, so initially RBI have identified 12 companies which constitute 25% of the total NPA. But later on in the late August 2017, RBI have even identified another 28 companies which is having a high default. So totally 40 companies have been identified by the RBI for the banks to initiate insolvency proceedings. So 12 in the initial stage, and that second list contains 28 accounts. So we know that with this empowerment of RBI to initiate insolvency proceedings, RBI have picked 40 large accounts which is having high non-performing assets, and already all these 40 companies is undergoing, except 1 or 2, these are been undergoing the insolvency proceedings under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code of India, which is very important for you. So so just have an idea, since already we have discussed the concept of NPA, since it is dealing with, just have an idea, NPA is a loan which the borrower has failed to repay the principal or interest for a period of 90 days. This 90 days is very important. Okay, what is an NPA account? NPS account is an account or a loan where the customer have defaulted to pay principal or interest for a period of 90 days, for more than a period of 90 days. Just have an idea about it, okay? So, apart from empowering the RBI in the above related cases, that will give the RBI the authority to refer NPA cases to insolvency and bankruptcy board. We have already discussed that. Now just have an idea, but study in detail this insolvency, what is the advantage or what is the major objective of insolvency and bankruptcy code. It provides for a time bound resolution of, there is a time boundness is there, okay, within this time period you have to resolve the default as well as the stressed asset either by restructuring a loan or by liquidating the borrower's assets. So these are the concept which is associated. Just be thorough with NPA account, different special mention accounts, and what are the time limit, how to initiate insolvency proceedings under insolvency and bankruptcy code. So that's regarding a very important topic, that is Banking Regulation Amendment Act 2017.